Again, a very warm welcome to this week's mixed media tutorial. I'm Lisa Taggart and I'm calling this picture Sunset Stroll. It's another mixed media piece and it's mainly watercolour along with some pastels, some stamping with gesso and lots of other things. So if you're interested in that, let's first of all look at the materials. This week I'm using my Posh watercolour cards. I've got some Bockingford and it's a £200. It's also rough. I'm also trying out these Faber-Castell Pit pastels and they're an early Christmas present for me, so I'm very excited to try them. And I'll go through the colours that I'm using later on. We're also using our Kuretake paints and I'll take you through the colours that I used. A couple of pinks, also a yellow, ultramarine blue, a purple, a brown, and I think I also used Payne's grey and a blue-green turquoise as well, and that's what they look like and they're certainly well loved. Also Distress Oxide and Blueprint Sketch. We've got Morning Mist in the Versifying Clara along with Pinecone, and I'm using a pastel stick, one of my soft pastels, which is a bit brighter than the pencils, and also a stencil brush, a brush for putting on water to our paper, and a couple of different brushes, a large round and a 3/4 length square, but any brushes that you have will do. In terms of the stamp, we've got Hazel, Elm, Small Pine Red, Small Branch and the lovely Bandit. So if you want to convert all of those into something that looks a little like this, just keep on watching. So to begin, we've got our watercolour card 7 by 10 inches. Also I've taken out some of the paints that I need and put them in this little mixer tray, which I've got on Amazon, and I'll link below in my Amazon storefront if you're interested. Also, I'm dampening the front and the back of the watercolour card. This prevents it from warping later on. Now, unfortunately, my camera cut out and missed a couple of steps just after that. So what I've decided to do is I've taken out another piece of card. I've roughly did my sunset background and its stamp card just like before, and I'm going to do another tree, and this time I'm going to complete the steps that were missed in my original, and then we'll go back to the original and I'll talk you through it. So this is what I describe as the blob watercolour approach, and really all it is little blobs of colour roughly in the shape of the fir tree, and it helps if you put the blobs going up the way. It also helps if you leave some gaps in between, so let the sky shine through, and later on we'll be filling in some of the gaps with the trunk of the tree and some branches, so that's why the gaps are important. Also, really, while the card is still damp, you add different values of paint in different parts of the tree to add a little dimension, and you do that by adding paint that is more saturated in pigment. And I also add in different colours to the tree. So we started off with a greeny blue, sort of a turquoisey colour, and then towards the bottom I've added pops of purple to sort of match in with the tones of the sky. And now all I'm doing is roughly doing a doodly type tree by just an impression of branches, again creating some gaps, and it's going to dry quite pale, and it's really only to give the main tree at the front some context. There you see me taking some brown watercolour and roughly adding in some branches and a trunk, and that's the first part that unfortunately was missed in our original. So adding some shadow, tidying it up at the bottom. Not really very much more after this, continuing to build up the colour, and it is literally just blobs of paint, and it does dry much paler than it looks when it's wet. So let that dry, and it looks something like this. And now I've taken my soft pastel stick and I'm lightly dabbing that along the trunks and some of the branches to give the impression of snow. I'm also using it to pare back some of the colour, the watercolour, to make it a bit brighter considering it's snow. And there you see it compared to the original. You can see the branches have been added, the snow has been added to the side. And to create the sun while it was damp, I literally just damped some kitchen towel into it and removed some of the paint and created that sun shape, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And now I'm taking the tops of this little stamp just to add some definition at the tops of the tree. Again, it's given the impression of background trees, and I'm not even using the whole stamp. Now I'm getting to use my lovely new pastels, and we're first of all using the pale colours. There's a cream, a white and a pale yellow. Moving on then to the browns, we've got rust colours, yellow ochre and an ordinary brown. We've also got some red and dark orange and some neutral grey, white and black. And for some shadows in the snow, we've got a periwinkle blue and some purple. And I'm starting off the colouring by taking this cream colour, and I'm really going to fill in a base for the rest of the colour and give it some opacity, I suppose, and take away the shadows and other things that are peeking through from the background. So as I say, this is just a first base layer. Now, I decided that the snow would have the reflection from the sky, and I mixed up a reddy orange colour. And at this point, I'm sure you're thinking, oh dear Lord, what on earth is she doing? And to be honest, I was thinking that myself, but I persevered with it, and really as I go along, I'm adding more water to it, and I'm spreading it out on the card. And I'm thinking the whole time that don't worry, hold your nerve, because one of the watercolour tricks is, of course, if the paint is spread out and damp enough, you can take a paper towel and remove some of the paint. So really what you end up with is a sort of an orange stain on the card that looks a little like that. So you can really pare it back. And then the next stage, once it's dry, is and once I've finished spreading it out and diluting the orange colour, is to add some pastel on top, which really also takes away the darkness and adds in the shadow again. Before I do that though, I've decided to add in some more watercolour where I had the original bluey sort of purple shadow. And then I'm going to take my pastels and enhance that further, and as I say, fiddle about a little bit more with the reflection on the snow. So as you can see, it looks a little bit different. I've added some purple and blue to the shadow, and I'm now taking my pastel stick, and I really do love this pastel stick because it's nice and opaque, and goes on really well on top of the watercolour card. Make sure the paint is dry before you do this, and it just makes the snow a little bit brighter. And now I'm taking the sort of periwinkle blue colours, and I've got a dark and a light, a purple and a black, and I'm adding in the little paw prints into the snow. Now the picture is complete, and as you can see I've added to the front corners some more stamping, and I stamped the little branches with white gesso. And if you want to see how I do that, there is another video where I use that technique called Hello Snow, and you'll find it in the list. I've also taken a white gel pen and added some little highlights to the trees, some snow, so they're more visible. And I've added some extra shadows at the bottom of the trees there, and just tidied up a few things. It's mainly just adding white, which has made things stand out a bit better. And as you can see, the snow isn't quite as bright orange as it was. I've also framed it and put it onto cream and black card. Now, in case you're wondering what happened to the little tree that I did, I decided to turn that into another picture, and I've used the other little fox. This is a smaller fox, and this time I've splattered some snow over the top, which of course you can do as well to the main picture, and I'm giving this to my daughter for Christmas. So there you can see the difference, one with snow, one without, and it's the blobby tree technique, which I'm calling. I've also done some other watercolour pictures. There's less stamping in these ones. There's another fox, and I've used the same little tree branch at the front, but the rest is just hand painted. And I'm showing you this just to show you that I used the salt technique in the sky for the snow, and you saw that in a couple of videos ago when I made the Christmas cards, and you can see the difference that the colours make to a picture. I've used very muted tones, and this one I taped the edges and didn't have any stamping at all. It's just freehand painting, and it's a bit of a snowstorm and a little cabin in the woods. And I just to show you that I do watercolour painting as well without stamping, and all of these of course are available to purchase in my website. The link is below. So until next time, take very good care of yourselves, and above all, be brave, get creating, and enjoy the adventure.